right, so welcome back to the Revamp podcast. Super excited to have Phil Vaughan here today.
Thank you, Drew.
Phil, we've known each other for a couple years now, and
Exactly 4 years and 2 months.
wow,
I'll
you're
tell
good.
I'll tell you how I remember.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's go.
Well, it was at Joe Evangelisti's mastermind group. That's where I first met you.
Correct.
Yeah. So.
And you know that was 4 years, 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you remember that date so distinctly?
Because
Am I that memorable, Phil? Man, I am flattered. I am flattered.
You were very influential to me, in the beginning. Like, I looked at you guys like, oh man, these guys have their stuff together, man. You know what I mean? And of course, you're always perceived greater than how you feel you really are. You know, so most people, feel like that. But it was just after I started that first mastermind group, 2 months later, I left the steel business to open up, my real estate company. So that's how I remember that so much. So I'm at my fourth anniversary of business.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. That makes sense. So walk us through that. I know a little bit of your backstory. I'm sure you've shared it many times because I know you have an incredible story and you tell it really well and everything, and you're very influential even in the way that you speak. So I do want to dive a little bit.
That embarrasses me real bad. Sometimes I just don't want to tell it.
No, I understand.
Don't ask about that stuff, man. Let's talk about the future.
Nah, man. Well, we got to start at the beginning though, because
come on.
it's so.
Damn.
It's so impactful to who you are today.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It really is. So, all right, let's start there. So, 5 years ago, you're working in the steel industry, and you're working in sales, right? And you're making a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Okay. So it was.
Pull that closer.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
You're good. You can lean back. Just pull it closer.
Okay, gotcha. So, I was up in New York City, 80% of the time supplying rebar to high-rise buildings, just big cast-in-place concrete, buildings, not structural steel. So New York City, about 15 years ago, I got into the business probably a couple years after New York City started going non-union. So I worked for a rebar fabricator, and we also sold concrete products. It's what I actually started doing first before rebar, the same company. And we caught this boom in New York where, believe it or not, New York City was going a lot non-union. And what was happening is you had the Italians and the Irish, and the Portuguese controlling the unions. They're the ones that could build anything above like 10 stories. They had the safety, they had the skills, etc. And then, the Russians started coming over, and Europeans and the Irish, just everyone. Well, in Europe, we can build, 80 stories our way. You don't have to be union, blah, blah. And we have, the manpower, we have the skills, we have the knowledge. And, but they just didn't have the safety. So I'll probably go back to 20 years ago. Buildings start going up non-union and, higher than 10 stories. So Men of Steel Rebar caught that wave, had a couple guys already up there from South Jersey. Then I got hired and I was selling products first for about 2 years, maybe 3. Then got into the rebar business and just took that wave up. And, it ended up non-union guys are putting up, 90-story buildings, and it's like unheard of. The non-union wave, broke New York City's back. And they're always being picketed by the unions. People are being beat up. Like, you hear the craziest stories, But so me, I just kind of hid myself in that because I'm coming from South Jersey. I got into that business when I was 25, just coming out of a Christian program for 9 months. Number one is I needed to change my life. It was just hell from 14 to 24 years old. So I'm coming out of a Christian program. Number one, to change my life. Number two, not to go to state prison. I had a bid over my head, and when I did that, the judge let me go. He gave me a suspended sentence. I had no driver's license. I am 100,000 hours in debt. I went to high school for about 2 months. Didn't know how to type. It was. I was definitely starting like 10 floors below grade. And so actually, I started off bending the rebar in the back with the illegal immigrants. And they're good people, nothing about illegal people, they're good people. And I started back there because I had no license, and it was close to my house, about 3 miles away from my house, at 25 years old. But Drew, I was so hungry. Like what I've been through, and then after going through this Christian program for 9 months, like I was just on fire. I came out of that place as a new man. Friends that I grew up with, they're like, Phil, you're a brainwash. I was like, no, you suckers are freaking brainwashed. Like what we were doing, as a kid, like what was normal, freaking stealing cars, breaking in boats, like how to get money, that's not normal, man. That's being brainwashed. I'm normal now. And so I came out of there with revenge, My kids were living in South Philadelphia with their mother. And, my kid's mom called me up one time and just saying that my son had heart. He got into a fight, a couple kids jumped him and he didn't run or something like that. And that's how I was, hey, he didn't run, but for some reason it just hit me different. And I was like, yeah, that's not cool. We got to get him out of South Philly. Let's get him over to Jersey, get him to Jersey schools. I said, I'll pay you money. I'll pay you child support and they live with me. I want to be their coach. I want to do this. I got a lot of makeup time to do. And so that's, what I did there. So the kids that came and live with me, and I'm jogging to work most mornings at 3 miles, with a lunch bag in my right hand, a CD player in my left hand, listening to like Les Brown, Success Principles, Jack Canfield, like whatever I get my Zig Ziglar, listen to all that stuff, just jogging to work. Big goals, big vision, going into the back, bending rebar. I'm the only gringo back there. Good people. Those guys taught me a lot. And I was planning on just being there for 6 months till I get my license back, Drew. And finally I get my license back. My oldest brother, my second oldest brother was a general contractor. I can work with him, but he needed a license. So I gave the guys my 2 weeks, hey, appreciate this opportunity. They're paying me $5 on the books and $2 off the books. 25 years old. Some of my friends are graduating college. People are starting their careers, you know what I mean? And so, hey, guys, very grateful. Give my 2 weeks, and they're like, oh, no. What do you mean? Where you going? That kind of thing. I'm going with my brother. He's a general contractor. I told you that. I was always going there when I got my license back. They're like, oh, no, we're not letting you go. We love the way you hold yourself. We want to have you sell our supplies. And I was like, what? All those products? There's like 5,000 products. They're like, yeah, we think you'll be great. We know you can dress well, things like that. And, they just, I was working out all the time too. Like I looked like a salesperson, though I didn't believe it. We're talking about belief right before this. I didn't really believe I could be like a professional salesperson. I can sell illegal things. I can sell my butt off. Whatever it is, I can sell. But I was like, I don't know about that. So anyway, so they talked me into it, and they gave me just a dirt low, salary. Took a while. I was fighting, limiting beliefs all the time. Like, oh man, this isn't me. I probably should just go do construction. Then, get into the union. That's where I grew up. Getting into the union was like arriving. You know what I mean? The electric union, the plumbing.
For sure.
That's all people want to do. You get to the union, PCJ, you've arrived. That's it. There's nothing
you've made.
Many people had, higher than that vision.
Yep.
And it's a great career. You know what I mean? But, people like us.
Did you have a vision higher than that at that point?
No.
Okay.
I did not. I was just happy to be out of jail, be off probation, be off parole, things like that. Just happy to be, my kids' coach, to be there at the games, to take them on vacations. That's all. That was success to me. And sometimes I look back like, man, success was so easy. Like just being there for them all the time. I didn't even date women. They needed all my time. I went from 24 to 30 without, this is weird. Don't judge me, or this is weird, but without sleeping with a woman.
That's a long time, brother.
There was one thing, something weird. I told Frank, something weird happened one night. I don't even know if it was all in. That's how freaking dedicated. That's how mad I was. That's how much revenge I wanted on like my old self. I was all in. The kids get everything. You know what I mean? Getting income is it like my job's getting everything. I'm reading a book a week. I'm going to seminars like crazy. I'm just all into that. And I knew a woman at that time. I was like, I just can't. I can't risk anything emotional. I can't risk if she's drinking all the time that I fall in love and start drinking with her all the time. I just couldn't sabotage this greatness that I had in my life. You know what I mean?
That's powerful, man.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
That's how committed it was. And people that knew me growing up, I'm no gigolo, but I was a ladies' man. And people are like, how the heck is Phil doing? Like, if God is real, he's real because of what Phil's doing. Like, how is this guy not?
Well, because you made a comment in there. You said some of that was you kind of making yourself pay.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Like you were disciplining yourself?
Yes, like a freaking Socrates type discipline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I played enough. You know what I mean? Like I had such a fast-paced life. Like at 15, 16 years old, I'm in the casinos gambling, you know, with a fake ID. You know, getting into, you know, clubs in Philly and New York and Atlantic City. Like it was just such, I don't know, it's just such an advanced life. Like I got all the partying in.
Yeah.
And I got jammed up over it big time. You know, I made more money then than ever. You know, I got a lawsuit at 18 years old from something, you know, crooked we did. And, yeah, I doubled, tripled, and 5x that money. Like, half of it was being a hustler, then the second half was now you're doing your own supply. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I got just so much partying in, and it wasn't even gratifying, you know. And so I said, that's it. Now I got to, you know, make up for it. So that's what it was, just make up time. And plus these kids, man, like they needed, you know, all in dad. You know, so half of it was the kids. And then there's just, not to get preachy, but like I was working on my relationship with God, you know, and he was just kind of not taking that desire away, but I was just desiring him more, desiring my kids more, working out more, and there's really just like no time for distraction. All I was in was, you know, unhealthy relationships with women, you know, in the past.
Prior.
So maybe, you know, and that's not the only way to do it, trust me, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, hey, go 6 years. But so maybe there's some stuff like, all right, well, I don't know what good is, so I'm just going to cut it out because I do know what good is with my kids, job, health, etc.
Right.
So, and there's something that my grandfather told my dad. It was a message that came down to me. He said, you know, Phil really dug himself into a deep ditch. You know, it's going to take him 5 years to recover from this. You know, emotionally, the finances, all the fines that I still had to pay. You don't come out of that stuff scot-free. You come out paying. Yeah, so I knew all too well what I had to do.
Yep.
And plus, there's always something in me. You know what I mean? You got to win. You know what I mean? Like wherever I was at, even in jail, I was always like the top 10% of someone who had the cigarettes. You know, who had the extra food. You know, who had the gambling thing. Whatever. Good or bad, I was always kind of winning. And I was kind of more successful than the rest of the people. And so I wanted to be successful at the same time, and you know, I don't want to contradict myself. Success did mean, you know, just being a tremendous dad, being a coach on our teams. But when my grandfather told me that, told my dad that, and my dad told me, I was like, he's 100% right. Like, I want to try to turn that 5 into 3. You know, so what I was doing was like racing against the storm. I don't know if this is true, but I heard a thing where, and I've never seen this, but someone said when a storm is coming, cows walk to the storm just to get through it faster. Now, I don't know if that's true. That's what I heard one time.
I never even heard that.
But it makes sense. Cows walk through it. Now, I never saw some big herd of cows walking, so I never saw that. It's just something I heard. So, metaphorically, I just wanted to get through the storm as fast as possible. I wanted to pay back all my debt as fast as possible. So that's why just the focus was crystal clear. I'm going to sacrifice now so I can live freer later. And that was probably the essence of it.
Where do you think that competitive nature comes from, though?
So sometimes it's just innate, I think. You know, like a famous question is, are you born a leader? You know, most of the time you're not. You know what I mean? You know, you have to learn leadership skills.
Yep.
But with being competitive, I think that a lot of that is innate. You know, so
I think everybody definitely has it in them to a small degree, anyway. Like the desire to win. Not to derail, but we're trying to take that away from kids with the competitive nature. Like everybody wins. It's like no, there's a lot of value in wanting to be the best at something. That is a great thing. We shouldn't take that away. But it's interesting, like when somebody like yourself goes to those lengths and those extremes that you did to be the best. Even through some shitty dark times.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, maybe all people are born with it, then they just lose hope. Maybe they lose and they lose hope, and they just say, I'm not going to compete. It hurts too much. So maybe that's the case. I really don't know, but it's always been there ever since, as far back as I can remember, first and second grade, just playing sports, football with your friends. And, back then people still played sports out in the street.
Yeah, right.
Street hockey, you know what I mean? Whatever it was, you always wanted to win. So I don't know. There was just something there. I still love it today. Even I guess it does get a little crazy, but I think it's so fun to be competitive.
Absolutely,
it's just fun. Now,
absolutely.
A couple people they take it too serious. I got a couple people they want my head. In business, like they want my head on a platter. I'm like, yo, you're going too far now. But we went on a nice paintballing thing last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and when we get back, I'm like to the sales guy, I was like, yo, let's do me versus you. We'll go back to the woods behind my house and we'll just see who will win. Because he was always saying, like, oh, Phil, if I go against you, you're dead. So now we're doing this paintball thing, me versus him.
That's awesome.
I didn't buy a gun yet, and only he has a gun. So I told him, I was like, hey, are you available tomorrow? I didn't buy a gun yet, but let's do this. I said, you get 20 minutes to hunt me down the woods. Ooh. Then I borrow your gun and you get 20 minutes, or I get 20 minutes.
There you go. That sounds fun.
It's always something.
Yep.
It's always something. So now we try to relay that, for the business also with the team and stuff like that. We're always doing something. You know what I mean? And look at the baby thing with the race.
Yeah.
I mean? So
you haven't done that yet, right?
We haven't done it yet.
All right. Who's going to win?
Well, he's been ducking me.
Oh, man.
He's been ducking me. But we'll see. He's very confident. I don't like that. I don't like how confident he is. He might have something up his sleeve, but
he might, man.
he's
you
very
just don't know.
Because he's calling me out left and right in the beginning. I'm like, man, I didn't know you're athletic, but man, you seem pretty confident. But it helps me go higher.
It does.
Because I want to race with 80. I've been training more. I've been getting a little bit more in shape. I don't want to lose. Like, I think it's going to be on camera and all that kind of stuff. So just being like that just helps me go up higher. So, yeah. And I'll tell you this though, without my local competition in South Jersey, I would not be, and I haven't arrived by any means. I still have a lot of problems, but I wouldn't be as high as I am now without the local competition in South Jersey. Like, it just helps me go higher. You know what I mean? And it's common sense to be like that.
Totally agree. Like, I know a lot of people talk about competition like they don't want any. Like, I want to be the only guy in my market. Like, not only do I want to be the biggest and best, I want to be the only one. I want to wipe everyone else out. No, there's a lot of value in having other guys that are raising the bar and raising the standard for you, because it does make you want to do more, be better, make your people better, make your processes better.
Yeah. Let's just say you wiped everybody out. Then you probably stop growing.
Oh, yeah.
And then you slowly start to shrink.
Dude, it's the truth. It's the truth.
So it's the truth. Thank God for competition. There's actually a good book out there called The Necessity of the Enemy. Always got to have a good enemy, man.
Never read that one.
It's
okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back. So you're working for this steel company. Mm-hmm. Now you're doing sales and everything.
Yeah.
Walk us through that. Becoming good at sales and being competitive at that.
Yeah, so being good at sales, I always love storytelling. I always love hearing stories, it just intrigues me. I love biographies, things like that. I just love people. People amaze me. I love underdog stories. I love how people came to America and can put up a 60-story building within 6 months of being here. So because of that natural curiosity and like reading a lot of how to win friends and influence people, like getting certified in every single course they had.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because it's just all about people, leadership, communication. I just asked questions. I became friends with people. When you're an Irish guy coming from another country, you're 29 years old and you're putting up a 40-story building, 6 months into America. That freaking blows my mind. Like, tell me your whole story. How'd you do this? Yep. What was your upbringing like? What was this like? Were you given any money? How do you do this? Drew, imagine going to Ireland and 6 months later putting up a 40-story building coming from America. So I was like that times 10. And naturally, when you can tell your story to people and say you're very interested in my story and you're asking questions about it, I'm going to naturally like you.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm going to naturally like you. And it wasn't manipulation. It was because I was genuinely interested.
Yep. And
so, that times 10. Remembering their stories, just getting to know them very well, being trusted, that's huge. Just being persistent and aggressive as well. When they sent me up there, I was coming in, as the underdog into this business, and they said, we need you to go up to New York City. I'm like, New York City, what do I do up there? They're like, we just need you to go hunt new job sites, get the contacts, see if they want to buy rebar, see if they want to buy concrete form, see if they want to buy a vapor barrier, see if they want to buy our HGO plywood, which is like a plywood that you pour concrete on top of. Anything, just get information, give them our list of items that we're selling, and I was like, yeah, but New York City? And but it was the best thing that ever happened to me. They're like, yeah, that's where it's hot. And they're telling me how, you know, unions are transforming and stuff like that. And so just, if I had to jump over a job site fence, if there's a lock on it, jump over the fence, go meet the foreman. Hey, who's buying on this job site? So it's just a lot of guerrilla tactics, and I had nothing to lose. You know, it's like the Will Smith movie. You know, my bust on the line here. There's some sales guys at that time. They're making like 125 an hour with a boatload for me. Like, oh my God, you make 125? Like, holy moly! So I just had to get to 125 as soon as possible, and so I was just really, really aggressive, young, and you just seemed like a fire in my eyes. And I never ever had the technical knowledge. Most of the steel salesmen and even, you know, the product guys, they could do drawings for you. They can go over the drawings with you. Oh, all right, let's go to the drawing. I could never do that. I'm getting a guy on the phone that could talk about the drawings with you. It was just relationships, aggressive prospecting, and you know, being trusted. They're probably, you know, one of the top three things. And that, you know, every single year just started to compound. Plus, like, I had this extra memory also, is this weird gift that I had. Like, New York City is, you know, one of the biggest cities in the world, and it's so vast. And when I went out there, I was just like, my God, this is just humongous. And there came a point within like 2 years where I just started knowing everybody. And I was just real good with relationships, where I just knew everyone. Like, even now, if you're selling more than 2 deals a month, I know you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you're not going to catch me off guard. You know what I mean? Like, just how my brain works. And so I could always just use names. There could be a 8-story building going up in the Bronx that, you know, that won't get past me. And so that became very helpful, you know, in a lot of ways. I started referring concrete suppliers to my customer and getting a little kickback there. And it was just like a spider web of connections and networking. And it seemed like a very small town, and it kind of was once you know everyone. And then I cracked this one code with comparing Philadelphia to New York. In Philadelphia, it's a good old boys club with the concrete contractors, you know, in the high rises and guys. There's 5 or 6 of them, and they all know the steel mills' prices. You know, there's only like 2 companies that they use, and the prices are just so locked in, and they just know it's literally 5, 6 big contractors. In New York, there's 500 of them, and no one's kept coming in from different countries. You know, the Portuguese were coming in, the Irish, you had Israelis doing this, you had the Asians doing this, and it wasn't one communication like Philly. Everything was scrambled. So you can charge one guy 3 more cents a pound for rebar, and another guy 2 more cents, where it wasn't so locked in Philly. So I don't know, I'm trying to articulate what I'm trying to say is, it was too disorganized for everyone to know, you know, what the real prices were.
Sure. So
you could charge as much as you want depending on the need. Yep. Plus you knew, oh, you got 6 months here in the country. Well, you know, we'll give you 2-week credit, we'll give you 30-week credit, blah, blah. Or we have to go to the GC directly to get a JV check, you know, until you build your credit up. So there's a lot of stuff like that where you can charge extra prices, you know, per pound for rebar and products. So I just 10 times that part, and just as a salesman, you know, I wasn't part owner, but just as a salesperson, I was, you know, foreseeing that, and I'm like, man, this is sweet. This is like right up my alley. Like I can, you know, do this forever. But it started ending. Number one, I'm traveling an hour and a half to get there. I'm sitting in that crazy New York traffic.
Yeah, that's brutal.
And I just went to New York a couple of days ago, and I'm sitting in that traffic, and I'm like, I just can't do it, man. I'm having flashbacks. It hurt my back. I got knee troubles from that traffic for, you know, 12, 13 years. So the traffic was just wearing down on me. Me having a dinner at, say, the Peter Luger's in Long Island, leaving that at 9 p.m. and I got to go all the way back to South Jersey. It was just wearing me down, but you know what? The money kept going up. So right. I'm like, whatever. You know what I mean? Where's a guy that has no high school diploma, stuff like that, going to go? New York, they do not care. Yep. You could be anything. You know what I mean? You could just get out of prison for 20 years and no one cares. Do you hustle? Are you smart? Get to work and make a boatload of money. But it's and I said this on Frank's podcast. So the money kept going up. Then I was hitting my numbers, and the commission changed on me. We're all supposed to triple what I was being paid. I ended at $330, and by the numbers, I was supposed to $330 a year with all the perks and stuff like that. But I was supposed to triple what I was getting paid because I kept hitting these incentives, and nothing against the family, that brought me in. It was a steel family. Nothing about them because they trained me from scratch. I used so much of what they taught me in my business today and just how I live. But the commission changed, and I went way lower. Not lower than $330, but I wouldn't make as much. And something just clicked in me, and I'm hanging out with a couple of real estate people at the same time. Something clicked in me saying, I don't want to live where someone else can control, what I make. And I'm 38 years old. I'm coming to the party real late. I wish I would have realized this, at 25 or 30. But at that time, it was what I needed for my family. But at 38, I'm like, I need to get into a point in my life where I mess things up, and that's how I get lower. I can't have anybody control what I'm making. If it's a recession, if it's the economy, that's one thing. If I'm being lazy for a year,
it's on me.
It's on me. Everything's on me, up or down. I'd rather go down because I messed up. And it was just crystal clear, and I said, you know what? I got to start looking around. And you remember Chris DeYoung?
Of course, yep.
So a guy hooked me up with Chris DeYoung saying, hey, I know this financial guy, you should sit with him. He's awesome. And I didn't know he was an insurance guy. I just thought, in my mind, I thought he was going to help me with financial advice for free or something. Like he wanted to sell me an insurance policy. I didn't know. We spent like 4 weeks together on this plan. It was pretty good. He's a very smart guy. He's a very successful guy. But I didn't know. At the 4th week, he's like, all right, so this is it, the insurance policy. I'm like, wait, you're an insurance guy?
But I didn't even understand, man.
Anyway, and I still bought, term insurance from him. But he said, hey, this guy Joe Evangelisi that I network with, he has a mastermind group with real estate guys. They flip, they wholesale, Phil. I know, and I was buying rental properties at the time when I was at the steel business. So he's like, I know you keep talking about real estate. He says, I know you're tired of going to New York. He's like, if you get with these guys, I bet you'll leave within no time. And I was like, really? And so he gave me his number, and it was probably like another month of going back and forth. And finally, I pulled the trigger, still at the steel business, and I met you at that first mastermind group. Paid 5 G's for 2 days. I was always big on investing into myself anyway, always doing something for myself. So that was my biggest one at the time. So that's where I met you guys at. Was just super inspired by what you guys were talking about. It was just like the language was just top notch. I'm like, holy crap. And I was like really idolizing you guys also, like, wow, these freaking people, man. Like, so they don't seem special, not me not being pompous at all, but I'm like, these are normal guys.
Totally get it.
What I mean? There's no freaking master's degree from Drexel in this room, you know what I mean? And I just never thought I could do anything great in South Jersey since you don't have a degree. It was just it was a stupid self-limiting belief, but I always wanted to come back home, Drew. I'm like, man, like, should I open up my own, anything business? I always wanted to just come back to South Jersey. And so that gave me hope. I'm like, crap, these guys are doing it right here in Philly, in South Jersey. Like, these guys are making it happen. I got some things to think about. So after that, stayed in contact with Joe, and I think before the second mastermind, what was it, like every 2 months? Was it every 2 months?
Yeah, it may have been
something like that.
3 or 4. No, I think it was like 4 times a year.
I think it was
that
more.
there were like in person.
Sure,
events,
I thought it was more than 4. I thought it was
maybe
like,
it was 5.
Was it 5?
Might have been.
Right.
Yeah.
So
bad memory, brother.
So in between there, I was talking to Joe. I was like, Joe, do you think I have it to leave the steel business? I was like, dude, I'm freaking making $330. Like, they cut my commission, but I'll probably still do $500 in like another year. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna make that $800, but he's like, man, it's up to you, man. You know what I mean? But to answer your question, you do have what it takes. I believe that, and I kind of knew it. And I'm kind of like a giant in kids' clothing. Like, I should have just knew better. You know what I mean? Like, but so a couple weeks later, gave my 2 weeks and just said, hey, I'm off to my own destiny. If I mess up, it's on me. I just can't have people controlling me. But with these guys, again, the second time, what they did for me was just truly amazing. They really put me on, this Steele family. They really put me on. But they were very respectful, stayed very good friends, and then by the time the second mastermind group came, I was all in, sweating bullets. You know what I mean? Still had some capital, of course. Had a nice savings to play around with, but just messing up everywhere, thinking it was going to be much easier. By the time that second mastermind came through, I did get one wholesale deal where like 10K was supposed to close like a week before and got like extended out another 30 days. So like I was like, I'll take that 10K and I'll just start going up. Perfectly go up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Only goes up and to the right. That's all that happens, right?
So after that 10 went sideways, I was like, damn, crap, I left my job. You know what I mean? And but through the guidance of you guys, and we were talking about it right before this, just like being around the people that are doing it. Totally. It's just, you're in the fast lane. You know what I mean? And so I knew no matter what, if I hang out with these guys, like this, and I keep reading, I keep doing what I'm doing, that I'll be them within no time. It's just it's almost automatic, and isn't that what most?
And it's inevitable.
Yeah, like you hang out with those people. I hang out with bad kids. I became bad. Yep. Hang out with good kids, you're going to become good. So if I hang out with these people enough, I'll be at their level. Yep. And so I kind of knew that common sense, and that's it, man. But the first 6 months was, extremely, extremely tough. I was telling Frank, I felt like I was just short of breath all the time, mentally. And, I only had like 2-3 G's a month coming in from rental properties. And
so how many rental properties did you own?
Shoot, I only owned 6 then, and
okay.
I only own 2 more now.
Okay, gotcha.
I kind of hate rentals. I do. I
have a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, I do syndicates. You know what I mean? I'd rather do those where it's passive. You know what I mean? So the first 6 months was tough, and I called Dave Rallick. You remember him?
Yep.
And I said, Dave, and I was always calling people. You know what I mean? That's one good thing. I wasn't scared to call people. Hey, can you give me some advice? And so he told me, hey, first 6 months is always tough. Then he said, something happens though, Phil. Something happens where something breaks. Something in a positive way, something breaks, and you get 2 more deals, and you're ahead of the game. And I don't know, the block of ice stalls out and something breaks. And so that was mentally in my mind, and it did break, and went down again, say 3 months later, but then went right back up again, and been on this roller coaster, ever since 4 years ago, almost till this month.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
That's why. So making that decision, leaving comfort and security, we'll call it, right? Like you had been at that job for how long were you with the steel company?
Since 25 years old.
Okay.
13 years.
That's a long time, man.
Yeah.
That's a long time to kind of on a whim make this decision. Like, I'm going to change everything, and
I burned all the boats too, man. I didn't reach out to customers. I didn't want any safety blanket.
Which is
I just gone. Where'd Phil go? I don't know. He's gone.
He's gone. He's out. But so at that point when you made this mental decision, it was to go all in on wholesale?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I love that.
Just wholesale. Joe told me a thing about Beatty. He said what he respected about Beatty most. It is Beatty, right? Or is it Beatty?
I think it's Beatty.
Beatty, yeah. He said what I respect about him most is that we all get unfocused with flips and rentals and this, that, and the third. He says Beatty just freaking wholesales, and obviously he's one of the top 3 guys in our area. And so I said, and I'm probably 2 months in, I was like, that's all I'm gonna do. I was gonna keep my focus because I know what it's like to lose your focus. So I was like, that's all I'm gonna do is wholesale. I'm gonna do it for a year. I'm gonna systemize it, hire people, and then go off to whatever I want to do with that systemized. Of course, then all of a sudden you're at the end of the year like, damn, this isn't systemized, it's chaotic. So I said, all right, I'm going to give it to the second year. All right, but then I'm going to give it to the third year. I'm like, damn, I can't systemize this thing how I want to. Then it's the 4th year. Now we're starting to turn. But so the main focus is on wholesale. The novations are almost the same as wholesale, so they just came in so easily. It's not like a flip. We've done 8-9 flips only. Thank God profitable on each one, but they're just a pain. But the novations are the closest to wholesale without losing your focus. So that's what we are 100%. It's probably 30% novation and 70% wholesale still.
Okay. Yeah. How long has it been that you've been doing novations as well?
About about a year now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So explain innovation, because I'm sure you can simplify it really well for anybody listening that doesn't.
I don't have the technical skills, man.
Come on, you can explain. If you trained your sales team on it, I know you know how to explain it very simply.
Dude. Yeah, of course I give you.
Come on, Eric would be very disappointed if you couldn't put this in a couple sentences.
I don't want to mislead anyone. So no, but I really do. Like Dave Choi from CG, he called me up and he was like, "Hey, how do you guys do innovations?" I was like, "Oh, let me get my guy on the phone." All right, so
you want me to take it? You want me to take the definition?
No.
You got this?
No, try it.
All right, let's go.
But this is just a good nugget for people trying to get into innovations. You know, you always think everything's impossible, you know, before you do it. Even wholesale, you think, why would a seller ever give you a property for 30 cents on the dollar? It can't be done. You know, so I was complaining to Brewer. He was at my office, and I was like, Brewer, but what seller, if they could just, you know, put it on the market themselves, how would they, you know, leave 50K profit in there? He's like, well, Phil, did you say that about wholesale when you first started wholesaling? I was like, well, yeah, you're right. So, so for our innovation customers, they're mostly clients that typically don't have much money. You know, most baby boomers live in paycheck to paycheck. They don't have money to fix up their property. You know, they don't have money to even catch up the last 2 payments on the pre-foreclosure that they're in. And, you know, so we offer first a cash offer. Hey, this is what we'll give you cash, close in 2-3 weeks, as is. Leave some stuff behind your house, doesn't matter. You know, we're paying for all the title costs, etc. And they say, oh, it's just way too low. We still press it a couple more times because I just don't want to go to innovation that fast. And no, I'm sorry, my mortgage is above that cash offer. Okay, gotcha. Well, thinking about it, your property doesn't seem like it needs a ton of work. I think it may be mortgage ready, correct? Well, I don't know if it's mortgage ready or not. All right, well, assuming that it's mortgage ready, we do have a program called the Equity Protection Program, and that's where we will, you know, market your house for you, but we'll still guarantee you like that cash price, that lump sum price where it will not go below or over. So our cash price to you was $80,000. If we can qualify you for the Equity Protection Program, we might be able to give you $120,000. Now, what we'll do is we will mark up that property. You know, we have to make a profit on it, but you're going to have 3 inspectors come through because I'm probably being a little bit too verbose here. My guys can do it better than me, but we're going to sell it to a mortgage buyer. But when that mortgage buyer comes in, they're going to bring in their 3 inspectors: the CO inspector, the mortgage inspector, and then their inspector, and they're going to have 20 things to fix up. Do you have, you know, extra money to fix up the property? No, I have nothing. I might have like $300 to my name. I need that for the U-Haul truck. All right, gotcha. Well, you know, that's where we come in at. We have in-house contractors. You know, we'll take care of that, you know, 20 list repair that these 3 inspectors want. And then on a side note, Drew, you know, on a Willing Bar flip that I finished 3 months ago, every single thing was brand new. When the inspector went through, I had 21 items to freaking redo. So that's what I tell them.
Yep.
And it's not
and that
me,
becomes
but
a part of your storytelling to educate your sellers through.
And it's not me, but I tell my guys to tell that story.
Yep.
And on every single thing was done.
Yep.
And there's I'm looking at this list like, you know, what, 21? How is it 21? You know, my hair's staying on the, you know, having a little temper tantrum. Like, how is it 21? So then if they find anything else, you know, we take care of that. So that all comes out of our profit. Does that sound like something that you'd even be interested in hearing more about? Yeah, sure. So, but Phil, everything you said you'd give me 120? Yeah, we'd most likely give you 120. We got to come out and see the property, and yeah, so you're guaranteed that 120, the same as that cash deal, and that's basically the gist of it.
Yep.
So, and people love it. I mean, my one guy wants to just be an innovation company.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, let's get a wholesale. Let's just do novations. That's it. You know what I mean? And I like it because it's just so transparent.
It is.
And I freaking love that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
it makes everything so much easier, man.
Like
even on wholesale transactions, a lot of guys in the industry gets a bad rap for that because a lot of guys, whether they're new or whatever the case is, that they were trained improperly, they do operate unethically. They aren't transparent about things. They lie about certain things. Yeah. And in reality, it's so much easier when you're just honest, open, and upfront. Right. Like, because at the end of the day, most sellers, not all, there are, some that want to count your pockets and everything. Yeah, but most sellers understand that it's a business transaction and you are there to make money. Yeah. So they don't really give a crap how you make money or how much money you do make, as long as you solve whatever their issues are. Right? Yeah. So even with wholesale, not even on novations, just being upfront, like, hey, yes, I might be the one. I offered you $80,000 on this property. There's a couple different ways that we're able to make that happen. One of those ways is, yes, we're going to come in and we're actually going to buy it. We're going to flip it. We're going to turn it into a rental, whatever. Yeah. But there's other ways that we're able to get that done. Sometimes we do sell properties to other investors. Yeah. Sometimes, there's a couple different strategies. But with that $80,000, what I am giving you is certainty that I'm going to be able to get this done at this price in this time. Right? Because they don't care. They don't,
No, I love them. I love them. Yep. And it's just one way. Like the wholesale way, you got to bring up those 4 options. We're either going to partner, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like, just one thing and that's it. Yep. And it's just so great to pitch.
It is, man. Yeah. And once we started adding that in, it also, because even with that wholesale offer, low cash price, being able to demonstrate different ways that we're going to be able to get that transaction done for the seller so they have confidence in everything. Yep. Still, no matter how you slice it, that's one offer. That's one option on the table, right? Yep. When you add novations in, it's like, well, I have another thing that I can offer you if this product doesn't suit your needs. And that's also why we don't go to it right away, because the way that we even do wholesale is very, very similar to a novation transaction, right? Like we've listed wholesale deals on the MLS for years, right? And so that makes it very similar. The big differentiating factor for us is in a novation, we are going to be selling to somebody that's probably getting a mortgage. So there's some more steps involved.
And sometimes you get lucky and it's a cash buyer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your wholesale process after this. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Not on this. We can't give it all away, bro. We can't give it all away.
They got to pay for it.
That's one of the funny things, man. Like, I tell guys all the time, even guys that are in their first year or two of business, they'll like ask me a question and kind of looking for guidance, mentorship. And I'll tell them everything that they need to know. And they're kind of weirded out. They're like, well, isn't some of that stuff like secret? It's like, no, dude, none of it is secret. Any information that I or Phil or anybody else is going to give you is information that you can find out there on the internet. The difference is, hundreds of transactions and, having the knowledge and wisdom to interject what's best suited for your specific scenario, right? But there are no secrets, man.
Nope.
There's not.
Nope. Are no secrets. Do the boring things every day.
Dude, that's it. That's it. Yep. So you transition, you're doing wholesale. Yep. Year 1, overall, like, what was that like? How many deals did you do? And was it a kick in the nuts for you financially?
Nah, I don't remember how many deals, but we did, it was probably me and one other guy, maybe 2, but 560 that year in wholesales.
In year 1.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know, 55% net profit. And of course, if you're doing it, your net profit's always sky high.
For sure.
Setting out the Roar, Texas, you know what I mean?
We got to talk about that.
Final notice, postcards. I'm the one on the receiving end on the texting and all the death threats and stuff like that. Like, hey, I'm reaching out to Joe, like, hey, Joe, man, this guy freaking knows where I live at. Says he's coming for me. Like, I'm from the old school. Bad things will happen to you if you come to my house.
Right. How these guys get my address? I still feel a little weird about it. Yeah, for sure.
One guy said, this is the meanest thing. And this is actually from a postcard. I had my niece on the postcard. We're at Disney. And he says, I'm going to do bad things to that little girl. All kind of, I was like, man, this is tough. So then I just learned how to delegate that out, let someone else deal with that. But year 1, 560 in the 50s on net profit. Year 2 was like 1.3. I'm more than doubled in year 2. Year 3 was like 2.25, and these are still like very tiny micro businesses. You know what I mean? Like I'm coming from the steel company. The guy my owner is my age, and he's doing 80 million a year.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And sometimes
the margins are very different though as well.
The margins are different, but they could be half ours, 1/3 of ours, but they're still very large.
Sure. I agree.
And
that mindset helps you out a lot as well.
And I remind everyone that's in our network, like, just remember, guys, we haven't arrived. We have little micro businesses. Yep. You know what I mean? But so I close to a double in year 3, and I'm always happy to share QuickBooks, man, because I'm tired of liars. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of them, right?
Any coach that I hire, our first conversation, like, hey, I'm going to go with you, but I need to see your QuickBooks first so you tell the truth. Like, I'm talking everywhere on social media. I'm tired of these fibs. When you know the people so well, and you hear what they're saying, like, come on, I know you're not those numbers. Come on. But anyway, and then we'll see what these next 2 months are for this year. If the goal was $3 million at 35% net, lost to TC, which was a very pivotal role.
Absolutely, it is. That's massive.
I should have kept her. You know what I mean? Just this. I felt like I have Dispo could take care of it. I'll have Anthony jump in a little bit. And TC really messed up a little bit, and something else, probably something for me, leadership issue. But so that's the goal, is $3 million at 35, and we're kind of close. We'll see. I don't want to jinx myself.
So we'll see. Wood, brother. That's fantastic.
And still act like a knucklehead. You know what I mean? I have a lot of. I was a salesman outside salesman, for close to 13 years. And I was just like a traveler. I can be in New York, North Jersey, Jersey Shore, and Philly all in one day. Just talking on the phone, and then the transition into a building to be CEO and a leader. Man, I'm still thawing out. I have ants in my pants. I want to be outside. I want to be at a property. I want to be talking to a buyer. I love Dispo because of the speed of it.
Absolutely.
Acquisitions, I didn't have the patience to talk to sellers, but so I'm still learning every day, still trying to transform day by day.
Dude, I love that. And I want to come back to the leadership, but mentioning Roar reminded me.
Oh, yeah.
Man, we have to talk about that. So first, let me ask you, what are your current thoughts on text message marketing today?
Oh, man.
And then I got to share my hilarious story.
I'm not going to sink that low to still do it. So Launch said that the only messages we can use are theirs. And I just posted something on Steve Trang's thing, because I think he asked the question, or maybe he commented, I forget, but I put on there. I was like, I'm not going to use this text. Hi, I love the lakes that are in your town. When can we schedule a call to talk about them? And somehow,
that's one of the text templates that they're saying will be able to be delivered.
Yes. And all equivalent to that, the most retarded messaging I've ever heard. And so my texting guy is like, Phil, we're going to have to use it. I said, no, Dan, I'm not sinking that low to do that. I cannot. Now, we have a 13-1 ROI on texting. And Drew,
you are an asshole, brother, because you brought me into it. What was it, Phil? It was earlier this year or something that we were having this conversation, and you're asking about some of our return on ad spend stuff on the TV and the postcards, and I'm sharing some of that metrics with you. And I'm like, the one mail campaign, we're around a 6.5, 7x return on ad spend. I'm like, by the way, how's text messaging still working for you? Because I worked with you setting up that Roar campaign all them years ago. But dude, even then, right? So 4 years ago, I set all that stuff up too, and then I never really dumped any gasoline onto it, because even 4 years ago, I just had this thought in the back of my mind, it's going to go away. Right. Regulation is coming, lawsuits are going to happen, text message marketing is going to go away. So I never focused on it at all until we had this conversation earlier this year, and you're like, oh, well, Drew, 7x return on ad spend, that's cool, man. Phil, how's text messaging doing for you? And I think the number you told me was like 27x return on ad spend. I'm like, you son of a bitch, Phil.
That's, believe it or not, that's what it was like the first half of 2022.
It
was ridiculous.
My God.
Ridiculous. Like looking back, you wish you would have spent, $200K a month just on that. But you'd have to have a VA army. So
for sure.
When I say 13-1, that is counting the VAs. It's counting everything except for the extra salespeople, labor it takes to, go through them all.
Sure.
Comb through all the bullcrap.
That's including your data, your...
Yeah, so I'm not including data into that 13-1 also.
Okay.
But
okay.
yeah, but yeah, it was in the 20s for sure. And but you would literally need, 30 VAs combing through all the messages coming through, and I wish I would have 10x it. Just wasn't aware.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda, man.
Happens
Look,
again.
I still joke all the time that text message marketing is dead because of us having that conversation. I'm like, cool, I'm jumping into it. Let's go. It took me probably 6 weeks to get everything set up.
No way.
Literally, week number 7, it's like we're ready to hit the ground running, full operation and everything, sending out 2,000 messages a day. That's when all of the platforms started getting heavily regulated. Messages aren't going out, and everyone's like, oh, this is it. This is the end of it. Like, man, this is ridiculous.
And I did mess up. I saw the writing on the wall. I thought it was happening, I think, last year at this time. And but then something else came through where it worked again.
Yep.
But yeah, I definitely messed up with relying on it so hard. Mm-hmm. It was probably half our business. And it's kicking our butts right now, transitioning. Thank God. I thought we were going to be murdered, but I think we're doing even better because we're just following up with the other leads much better. We're just treating them with more importance.
You can focus more.
Yeah, there's more focus, and it's unbelievable. So there's alternatives, Drew. Like, you can still text message. Like, I got a couple, guys say, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that. So you can still do it, but I'm like, you know what? And I hate that I'm like this. Sometimes I got to be forced out of things. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm just going to let this force me out because I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yep.
One of our lead statuses is discovery, where no one's got a hold of that lead that came in, and there's just thousands of those. We have them on a dialer and they just never pick up. And if we just go after more high-end quality leads, quality over quantity, and it's been proven these last 3 weeks, it's been working better. So
I love that.
Just branding, you know what I mean? And so hopefully it's sustainable though. But some of the biggest guys, man, Damon Lyons and Doug Hopkins, they're just TV, mail, PPC, SEO, and these guys are, I think, in a combined, because they're in Phoenix and LA, like 60 million a year.
That's wild.
Just off those 3-4 channels. They don't cold call, they don't text. They're just going a more high end approach, and so and there's a lot of people like that.
Yep.
A lot of guys that just never text, and so.
Yep.
And I just never hear about the $30-40 million companies relying half their revenue on texting.
Right. So. Well, because that's the thing. Even a year ago, 2 years ago, there was still a lot of limitations. There was a lot of red tape and everything. And scaling past that, whatever, having 5 different accounts you can send out from, it's just logistically a nightmare.
Yeah.
Right? It's much easier
to for each one, and
Right. Yeah.
But
I think there's a lot to be said about transitioning from that high volume, low quality into low volume, high quality, doing it in that order, because it was the same thing for me. It's like you were heavily focused on texting. I was heavily focused on direct mail, specifically some low quality, high volume leads. But doing that and having the volume, for one, it helps you train and groom a sales team and have a process in place, right? Because especially with high quality, low volume leads, it's like, it's a kick in the nuts if you're not able to monetize on that lead that costs you $400 or $500, right? Mm-hmm. But when you have leads that may have cost you $5, $10, $20 or whatever, and you can really dial in your sales process and train and groom people on how procedurally you need to work and dial in a sales process, it helps you to build a business. It really does, man. So now that you've gone through that, and it's like you have structure, you have things in place, you have team in place, now it makes it less risky to go into that
Yeah.
high quality, low volume.
No, 100%. And that's making perfect sense, because you do have to have a different hat on for every lead.
You do.
With PPC, the mentality is they're calling you. But also, they're calling you. I tell my sales guys, like, don't be so needy. Like, don't treat it like a text lead where you're on the offense. I said, lay back in your chair, put your feet on your desk, and it's, hey, how can we help you?
Yep.
Hey, what's your reason for calling in today? How can we help you? We're texting, since you probably didn't do it much, but with texting, sometimes they'd call in and say, how'd you get my number? Who are you? And they have that tone, and so you got to, be on defense for about a minute and pass their trial. It lasts about a minute.
And diffuse.
And if you pass, they're like, all right, well, I do have a property. Or they just want to somehow, get your company information so they can leave a bad review. So it's like, it's raising your cortisol levels on a text call, and then PPC is totally different. So get into more, inbound leads. Is it? Yeah. You're right. You just gave me another idea too. Yeah, it's just quality, more relaxed, and you don't have to wear so many hats.
Yep. That's the truth, man. That's the truth. So I want to jump back to leadership, because you touched on, growing and bringing people in and everything. And leadership is a lot different than being a high performer yourself. So what were like some of the struggles that you had once you started building and growing a team?
Well, I still have those struggles. Like leadership is a lifetime.
Leadership is hard.
Yeah. Like new levels, new devils. So just at this current level, to tell you the truth, it's everything. Like, I still haven't perfected, hiring, onboarding, just getting better. I would rely on intuition on most things, and it just doesn't work in business. You got to use the data and intuition. But I'll probably say, since I'm such a people person and I have so many mentors and, always looking to, gain wisdom every day, there's a small, advantage there just naturally. I inspire a lot of people, just from the weird stuff that I do. If you don't agree with it or not, like, hey, that guy has my respect. So if you go back to like what John Maxwell, how he defines leadership, he says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. But the bulk of it is influence. You could be a gang leader. He has the most influence in that gang. Good or bad. It's influence.
Yep.
So, I can be a very influential person, and inspiring. So that probably has half my people follow me. The second half would be that I try to be as honest as possible, with the guys. If I owe you money, you're getting paid. There's this guy, he brainwashed me in that psychology. He was an associate for the mob. He was an Irishman. Did a lot of time for them. And he always thought I was from Philly, but I'm from South Jersey, Drew. And he'd say, Phil, I was asked for his check. I said, hey, you going to pay this week? He's like, Phil, I will always pay you. Yes, I'm paying you, because I'm not going to have some punk, some rat from South Philly saying that Kevin Walsh didn't pay him. I'm like, I'm from South Jersey. He's like, nah, it's same thing. The South Philly guys are the first ones to rat. All right, you're a rat from South Philly. You're never. And he said it to me 100 times.
Oh my
no
God.
One's ever going to say that Kevin Walsh didn't pay him. And so I always got a big crack out of that. But so I pay people. If you were fired or you quit, and we're waiting for a deal to close 6 months down the road, I'm going to pay that commission. I'm going to be fair. If I lost money, I'm going to tell you I lost money. What am I going to do? But so just being like that. I fear God with my finance. I always want to have a lot of integrity with that. Have an abundant mindset. I'd rather JV with you. I'd rather work something out. So it's like that kind of across the board. It's not business ethics. It's just ethics across the board. Whether it's business, personal life. Now, I'm not perfect. Talk to my wife. She'll be like, oh, he's a hypocrite. Talk to my wife. She may have a different story. But just having ethics, that is a lot of influence of itself. One example is yesterday we had a deal where a buyer was getting ready to sign an assignment agreement, and we got another buyer for like 30 G's. Most people
30 G's more?
Yeah, 30 G's more, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And so most people are gonna, cut that first guy out, but the first guy is a repeat buyer. I really like him a lot.
Yep.
And I don't know if he didn't sign it, I probably want to do this, but I think he was gonna sign it, and he didn't anyway, so it worked out, for our advantage. But if he signed and I found a guy 30 G's higher, I'll offer that first guy money. Because first of all, I just came up with 30 G's out of nowhere. If I went with you, probably because you're the highest, or we can't find anyone else, so I went with you. But I'll throw him 5 G's just because I want to do 100 more deals with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin our relationship for something like this. So just being like that, and sometimes it could sound foolish, but somehow it works for me, and I keep getting better and keep building better relationships. So just being like that in as many places as you can. Sharing everything with my team. I was just telling them this morning, I was going over conversion rates and net profit and things like that. And I was like, guys, I shouldn't be sharing this with you, but I'd rather have trained people than have idiots.
Dude,
So I just give you everything that comes down the mountain comes down to you. Anything I get from my mentors comes down to you. And with most of them, I'm a coach for them.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly right.
Like, hey guys, I don't have it all together, but I have experience what you went through. This is what I did. You know what I mean? So just being a coach for them, and I just, love being around them. You know what I mean? Of course, sometimes it wears you out. You know what I mean? But I just love being around the guys. I like people. I don't want to be by myself. I'm not like scared of myself, anything weird or anything like that. But I just like being around, the team and people. So I don't know what I would ever do as like an agent, or if I'm retired, or
Sure.
I'm that CEO who disappears. I'll always be around the people. So just all that stuff, Drew, really helps a lot, even unknowingly, for leadership. Yeah, unknowingly. But now, delegation, like there's all new levels I still have to learn. So that's just the stuff that I'm good at. But I really got to learn how to delegate a lot better and hold people to expectations, especially my COO. That's a hard position to kind of, write out the details on these are your exact expectations, because they do so much. But there's a lot of stuff like that I have blind spots in.
Well, look, we don't know what we don't know until
That's
we're face to face with it, right?
Yep.
Like the leadership journey, I feel like that was my biggest focus for the past, year and a half, and really I thought that I was doing a good job, right? I thought like I'm trending in the right direction. I feel like I'm getting to a place where everybody that works for the company has more clarity as to what their role is, what the expectations are, where we're at, and where we're going. Yeah. So to your point about like sharing financial stuff, that was how I always was, man. Like I don't care, like, because my perspective, whether it's right or wrong, on the financial side of everything was, if you don't share some of the financial stuff, people are just going to speculate anyway, and their speculations are probably going to be a lot more rose-colored than reality. I would rather people know that it's like, we closed $150,000 this month, and here's what we did in marketing. Here's what our average cost per deal is. Here's what our average assignment is. Right? Like that way, there's no gossiping. There's no, Phil's just making $1 million a year and putting it in his pocket, and everything's easy, and he only works crumbs. 10 hours a week. It's like, right? So, I don't know. That was just always my perspective. Is sharing the information can't be a bad thing. You know.
No. Well, who was that guy? Virgin Airlines. What's that owner's name?
Branson.
Yeah, Richard Branson. So he made that quote. Hopefully I don't botch it up. I guess the CEO was talking to the COO. Do you remember that about training your guys? What if we train them?
Oh,
and they leave, and he's like, what if we don't train them and they stay?
And they stay.
You know what I mean?
Dude, that's deep, though.
Yeah, it is.
If you really think about that, it's like you're worried about training people up, and they're going to leave you.
Yeah. What if they stay?
What if they stay and they don't know shit?
Yeah.
How much money are they going to cost you? Right? And maybe not just in mistakes and expenses, but in opportunity costs, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, man, that's massive. So you work a lot with your team, you coach them, you mentor them, you help them grow.
Yeah, so it's really, for me, I hate to admit it, but I kind of hate structure. So,
preach to
Anthony does the one-on-ones and the groups. I just do it, as a free spirit. You know what I mean? When I can, when I'm there, and it's all the time. But
when it hits you,
hey, let's go out to lunch. Hey, let's talk right now. Hey, you going to a property? I'm gonna ride with you. You know what I mean? So it's really, and that's the best way. You know what I mean?
Well, because you like being loose, you like being
just
fluid.
being loose. Yeah. It's real. You know what I mean? I don't have anything, you know, set up for you. I'm just letting you know what it is, and so I'm having a good time doing it too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But see, you're doing the right things and putting people in place to be able to have that structure. Because I do think me being that same way, it's like, it's ingrained in us because it's how we are.
Yeah.
And it worked for us and showed us a level of success that is greater than what most people would expect anyway.
Yeah.
But it also limits you, right?
Yeah,
like if you're trying to grow a company that has 50 people, you can have a company with 10 people where you're loose and don't have a whole hell of a lot of structure, but people understand because they're on a personal level with you, right? As you you can't, right? Like imagine Apple being like they didn't have a daily structure and roles and responsibilities and, you know, like...
That'll be a new level, a new devil. I have to learn how to work around that, and it's gonna be a little bit tough right now. You know, one guy, I'm like, oh crap, I haven't caught up with him in a couple weeks. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you what the best thing, Drew. I mean, I could probably get to 30, 40 people, still do it. After that, I'm kind of dead. I have to figure out a system and process, then get structured. But the reason why I do that is because I love when, and I learned this the hard way. But when like underdog comes in, maybe because it reminds me of my story, but when an underdog comes in, they start doing amazing things through sales. You know, like I had this one guy, he was so doubtful of himself, but I saw something different in him. And I'm like, dude, you are freaking smart, man. You are sharp, you're smart, you got it. You may be the smartest guy here. And he was like, I just need time because I'm coming out of something. I'm like, take all the time you need, but you have to believe this for yourself. So helping guys, just like you said, believe more in themselves, because that's the sky's the limit. You know, you're only capping yourself when you don't believe in yourself. So that's probably the main thing, is having guys believe more in themselves. And the guys that do believe more in themselves, because after you believe in yourself, then you put the work in. You usually don't put the work in, then believe later. But then watching them grow, man, I get a kick out of that, man. Like my best guy right now, he's projected to make 180 per year, and it was only probably last year I was like, dude, you're gonna do big things, man. Like, you gotta trust me. I know you don't know me that good, and I know that anyone can tell you that, but I'm giving it to you straight, man. You gotta trust me. You got it. You got it. You got it. And it was selling him on his own belief about himself. I'm like, dude, you freaking got it, man. Just trust me. And he says it all the time. He's like, this is just the best job in the world, man. It's the best company. Like, people do not know the advantage that they have here. Like, they do not know. And that's kind of the culture that we have. Like, people keep saying it left and right, like, this isn't even like a job. Even young Jeter's gonna be watching this. Told him not to, you know what I mean? Sometimes I'm like driving out of here, like with Frank's, I'm like, crap, I wish I didn't say a couple things. And I don't want anyone to see it, you know what I mean? So I was like, Jeter, you don't have to watch that, that's gonna be nothing, but he's gonna be looking for it. But he's a follow-up specialist. And man, now I'm having a brain fart. What the heck I was going to say about him? I shouldn't have said it a little something.
Oh, man. Well, it's a story of my life. I can sympathize with you on that.
Oh, yeah. So he was just saying, like, this isn't, like, a real job, but it is. But he's like, it's just, amazing work here. Like, the opportunities that we have, what we're learning, like, this is, and he's telling his friends, like, yeah, like, you can't, he's telling his one friend, because one friend's asking him, like, you can't bullcrap. Like, don't come in here, like, not wanting to grow. Like, you're going to have to work and grow. But, man, after that, like, this is just an amazing job.
Sky's the limit.
And that just makes me so happy.
Dude, absolutely. And we were talking so much about the belief stuff before we started rolling, but I think that is a massive, massive piece, And you as a leader, I think that, personally, I think that is one of the most effective things that you can do as a leader, is instilling that belief in your people and giving them the tools and the training to actually go and do it and execute. But they got to believe it first.
They got to believe it. Sometimes they have to also see others doing it. You know what I mean? For the analytical type, the guys that have to question every single thing. But that's it. The belief, they go to work. But even if I don't have another guy doing it right in front of him, I did it.
Right.
I did it. I had to master. Even though it was up and down a lot, and it's still up and down, but I had to master like I said beforehand, not faking it till you make it, but just like seeing yourself there, though you're not there. Seeing yourself there, I can do it. You know, when I was first going up to New York, I was getting my butt kicked all the time. I had a post-it note on my dashboard saying, "Phil, you're the king of New York. You're the king of New York." You know what I mean? And it was just not being pompous, but like getting into the ring scared. I had to just trick my mind in certain things. So just constantly trying to invest into that higher belief.
I totally understand, and I am the same way. I think most people that are high achievers do probably have that same thing.
I might say all people. Like even people get really, really egotistical over it. Like where they feel like they're the best thing since sliced bread. Like I know at least
but you have to believe
it.
You have to. It can't just be
they
throwing it out
it.
there. And you have to. That's my point. It's like,
yeah.
Dude, we kind of got to be really freaking crazy to do what we do, like borderline delusional. Like, dude, you jumped into an industry that you had no prior experience in. You left a $300,000 a year job, right, and security. It's like, but in the back of your mind, there was not even a seedling of doubt that you would fucking fail. You're like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it work. Which, from an outside perspective, to your average W-2 employee that works like a career their whole life, they're like, dude, that is insane. You're out of your mind. Like your brain doesn't work the way that it's supposed to. And they're probably right. But it suits us really well, man.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe I'm becoming more delusional than I think.
Dude, listen, but if it serves you, embrace it.
I used to just look at, and I still do, and maybe I'm becoming more like them, who knows, but hopefully I'm still keeping my conscience. But there's just 1/3 of people that are just plain out maniacs, with it. But they are getting results from it, so it works.
For sure.
But they're plain maniacs. They get, and I tried hypnotism a few times, didn't work.
You tried what?
Hypnotism a few times, but I know one guy, he gets hypnotism, and I'm thinking like that hypnotist must be telling him like, Bob, you are amazing. Bob, you are going to do 100 million a year. Bob, like I don't know, because he's just next level with it, but he's just so arrogant with it.
Really?
Thinks he's just the best, and Bob's a fake name, of course, and so I do see that with 1/3 of people, but that's how true it is. It's just a testament on how true, believing that can have you come up to it. Yeah. So it's just a testament to it.
Dude,
but I don't want to be like that, for the record.
Don't want to be like that. We don't want to be like Bob. You don't want to be egotistical
and arrogant. But listen, sometimes you are who you are. It's just like, will money make you evil, or will money, ruin you? A good person is going to do good things with money. He'll do good things with no money. A bad person will do bad things with more money. So I think it's the same way. So the higher I get, the more I believe. I think I'll always keep that neutral thing, knowing that I'm a good person. By the grace of God, nothing I've done, but just knowing I'm a good person. So if you ever see me cross that threshold, though, freaking tell me.
I got you, brother. I got you.
So you going to Mars?
You might, man. You might.
That's it.
I don't know. You're getting kind of old, man. You're getting kind of old. Yep. No, but seriously. So, like, what is your vision? So you've been in this industry for 4 years and 2 months, and by all measures, you're fucking crushing it, man.
I appreciate it. So sometimes I don't feel like it.
I understand.
I know the potential's much more than that, so sometimes I don't feel like it, but I appreciate it.
I mean, look, I don't know the numbers, but I would have to venture to say that you are probably in the top 1% of the 1% in our industry.
See, you're with those CG people, though, man. We're with the CG people, and you see some big numbers. We're like the bigger fish in our market, but then you go over there and you're the smaller fish, and that's the perfect.
But that's a beautiful thing. Exactly right, because
you want to be the smallest.
You're around them people, and inevitably you are going to become one of them.
Yeah. So around here, we're doing great. But to get back to your question,
what's next?
The goal is $21 million a year. Why is it 21, not 20? Why is it not 10? The 21 is just because I 10x'd what I was in 2022. So after reading 10x over 2x, that's just one of my favorite books. The author is brilliant. He gets a lot of his advice from Dan Sullivan, and they just track so many, CEOs and businesses. And the whole 10x over 2x is, quality over quantity. And so then I talked to Phil Green in the gym when I was at CG, and he said how he went from 2 million to 21 million within no time. Knowing me, it's going to take me longer. No contradiction from the self-beliefs or something like that. But he said he did it in 2 to 3 years. I'm like, how the heck do you go from 2 million to 21, 2 to 3 years? So I asked him again, like the next time I saw him next quarter, I was like, Phil, just to make sure I heard that right. Did you say you went from 2 million to 21 in 2 to 3 years? He's like, oh yes I did. Yeah, you say you never met him?
No.
Oh, he's great. He talks very, very softly. Yes, I did, Phil. Yes, I did. And I'm like, damn. All right. Well, I'm gonna pack some more years on top of that, just to give myself. I'm a slow learner, just to get some time behind me. So, but what do I have to do to get to 21 million? It's not going to be residential single family properties.
Right.
And I'm being more open minded. It's not just going to be wholesale and flips and novations. So,
what do you think the max that you can take that to, wholesale, flip, and novation?
Where at though? Like just stay in South Jersey?
No. I mean, like as far as revenue wise, like if you're saying that you're going to have to expand outside of that, what do you mean?
I think if I stay in South Jersey, probably get to 4 tops. You got a killer team, maybe 5 million. You got Navy SEAL sales guys. Your systems process and order dispos top notch. I'd say 5 mil, and you're a stone cold killer. I think that's all South Jersey has for one company. Coming to South Jersey, Philly. Your Philly suburbs are the same as South Jersey, so stone cold killer. 10. You gotta knock Beatty out of there. Beatty's taking a lot of market share now. I'm just kidding, Beatty. I'm just kidding. But I'll say 10.
Let's race, baby.
Yeah, like sometimes I think like, what if this company that I know came over here? What would they do? But I would probably say that if Brewer's doing 8-9 in Central PA, like what would he do if he was in South Jersey and Philly? You know what I mean? So, but I'll say 10. Go to Central Jersey, North Jersey. Now you're getting more up there, and 21 mil could still be accomplished just through wholesale novations and flips in all of New Jersey, Delaware, Philly, surrounding suburbs of Philly. But I just don't want to grind my way so bad up there. It's going to have to take commercial, deals.
North Jersey's tough.
Big multis.
New York, it's attorney handled and everything, and the attorney review. It's different.
I got friends that are just crushing up there. They said, Phil, it's just like, how can you buy a wholesale deal for 30 cents a dollar? Same philosophy.
Sure.
So they just get around the lures. They just, work with the lures, and the lures aren't that bad. They're not like South Jersey or Philly lures.
Yeah.
So, they do there's 3-4 huge companies in North Jersey, all wholesale innovations, and lures don't bother them. So you just have to figure it out.
Right. Like anything. Yep. I love
But
that.
anyways, that's the next step there. And again, I'm looking at the vision board. If you come to my office, it's all written out, has a plan, and sometimes I get in there and we're having a bad month. I'm like, Phil, what are you thinking, man? Like, you can't even, you're struggling to hit 3 and you want 21. But it's going to take time, But I look at it all the time, and I'm just reprogramming my mind, reprogramming my brain. And dude, I used to make $30,000 a year and have $100K a year on there. Like, how are you going to hit $100K? So it's all the same stuff, So then I'll get to 21, whatever, it'll be a new one.
Yeah, no, it will. And I think that right there raises the most important question for me to you, because it's something that I ask myself all the time as well. It's why?
So I was just asked that by Steve Kipnis 2 weeks ago. He says, for what, man, for what? Young Jewish successful kid, I love Steve Kipnis. But he's like, why? He said it in the funniest way. I was like, why not? He's like, and he's very witty too. He's like, well, makes sense. Nothing, not a better comment than that makes sense. But I'll say why not? There's a lot of good things that you can do with money. I give a ton of money. I love helping family members out. I have, one of my younger brothers died. He has a kid that has to be put through college. I want to, do great things for him. And I have a lot of struggling family members and friends. And plus, there's a lot I want to do. I can do them now. But you can just do a lot of great things with the extra money. I think the potential's there. I'm not one of these guys. I just, I don't want to sit around. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Right.
If I hit 21, if I hit 21 million, I'm not gonna retire down in Florida and get fat. You know, but I take a little bit extra time, yeah, but it's just not in me. Like my butt's always burning.
Yep.
And I might just give it all up and go into ministry or something. Hey, I'm gonna go on missionary trips. I'm gonna serve in Kensington. You know, I'll do something.
I love that.
I just can't sit still.
Yep.
And I think it's my calling. You know, I don't know when I'm 70, 80. You know, I sit still. I don't know, but you know that Fred Beans, all those dealerships, Fred Beans. That guy's still working. He's 87 years old. So all these people saying, "Oh, you're a chump if you're working. You're stupid if you're still working. All this hard work stuff. You know, nah. The real people, they rest."
Yeah.
Some
You don't
people
understand.
some people just like it. They want to keep their brain active.
Yeah.
You know, my grandfather's 93. He's always learning all kinds of new tech stuff. He wanted to keep his brain active. And Fred Beans, he likes doing. He likes being around people like me. That's what the sales guy was telling me. I was test driving an Escalade, and we drove past. That was that Cadillac when Ford was 2 blocks down, and we're at a red light. He's like, "You see that guy right there, the old guy? 7 at night, Drew. 7 at night." And Fred Beans, he has like 15 locations. This guy is loaded.
Yeah.
He's like, "See that old guy sitting in the window?" He's like, "That's Fred Beans." I'm like, "It's freaking 7 o'clock at night. What is the owner doing in there?" He's like, "He's hanging out with people. You know, he picks up calls. He has fun."
I love that.
I'm like, "Get the heck out of here." I got a kick out of that, and I don't know what I'll be like at 70, 80. And I don't know, but that's how I am now. Just
but
have
right
fun.
now, the idea of not doing something sounds like
Oh,
heaven.
that's
Yeah, to me, it
That's
sounds
a nightmare.
terrible.
What am I? Stuff gets old for me quick. I love St. Thomas. I love laying in the water. Freaking, I love St. Thomas. But after a week, I'm sick and tired of it.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I like being around people. If it's serving people, if it's helping people, if it's challenging people, if it's people challenging me, if it's someone over top of me, bringing me higher, I don't know. As for now, catch me 5 years from now, but that's what I love. I love being around the people.
Dude, I love that.
You know what I mean? So,
I love that.
yeah.
That's huge, man.
Yeah.
That's huge. So
Yeah.
I think that does tie into like why you want to do that and everything, and like it ties into your purpose, right?
Yeah.
Like people talk a lot about that. It's like, well,
Yeah.
why am I actually doing right outside of my own self-interest? It's like, what do I think I was put on this planet to do?
Yeah.
And I think ultimately none of us really know anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm gonna damn sure do the best that I possibly
Yeah,
can
yeah.
and become the best that I possibly can
Oh, yeah.
in whatever I do while I'm on this planet.
And try a lot of things.
Dude, I love
Keep trying things.
I
you
love
know?
it, man.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
massive.
Did you see the new Sylvester Stallone documentary?
I did not know. Sly.
Yeah, he's a guy that really. Now he admits that he didn't give his family first priority, but he's done a lot of things, and he's a guy that really exhausted options until he found his gift. And so just keep looking, man. Keep going. That's what I'm doing, and we'll figure out one day, Drew.
One day,
We'll
brother.
figure out one day.
One day. I love that.
Yeah.
If you were going to give advice to somebody that was like just getting started in their real estate journey today, whether that is wholesale, whether that's buying rental properties, doing their first flip, like what would that advice be?
Go somewhere else. Don't do real estate.
all right. They're on the other side of the country, Phil. All right.
All right, so I'm gonna give the real reason, but that's what I really would say. Get into a business you can sell. I really would say that.
Get into a business that you can sell.
Yep.
Sell the physical business you need. Build a business, sell the business.
Yeah, is it Bachman? What's his name? Bachman. Frank interviewed him. The roofer.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. What's his name? You know him? Yeah. I follow. He's a good guy, but something like that, a business that you can sell. I was just telling the team like, hey, we can't sell this business. If you're lucky, you could design a way to do something.
You could,
but they're not that popular.
Right.
So I said, guys, we live or die off cash flow. That's why cash flow
right.
always has to be high, and net profit always has to be high. But anyway, so just get into real estate. Number one, be a student, be obsessive with learning. Obsessive, and not learning 100 different things, but just a couple things that's going to directly harness you into that path further. So be an obsessive student, and number two, you hang out with. I mean, it's just the most common sense thing in the world. If you don't have friends that are in that business that you're trying to go after, hire them.
Buy your way in, man.
Borrow.
It's like you were the perfect example of it. Like a lot of people look down on it. A lot of people look down on hiring mentors, being in mastermind groups and everything. Like, dude, hands down.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of money in the groups that you're in and the mentors that you hire, and so do I. And your average person can't wrap their head around
Yeah.
when you say, I spend $50,000 a year or
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
on coaching, mentoring, education.
Yeah.
They can't wrap their head around it,
Yeah.
and they look down on it. It's like, no, that's made me who I am.
Well, to speak to the ones that didn't have to do that and still have, 500 rentals or still flip, 30, properties a year, you're smarter than me. That's it. I don't know what to say.
Well, and it's not only that you're smarter, but you could have done more, dude.
Yeah. You definitely could have done more, but usually there's like some mentorship somewhere.
Absolutely.
There's a partnership. So if you do not have that mentorship around you, if you don't have that partnership, you got to pay for it, And so get around the people however you can, as fast as you can, because you will become those people, And then as soon as you become the biggest guy in that group, time to elevate to a new group. Be the smallest guy in the room. Yeah, freaking. In reality, it hurts. It sucks. You start questioning yourself. Oh man, for me, it's so easy to question myself. Phil, you go to freaking high school. You're trying to hit this new level. For me, it's so easy. But keep doing it. Just know it's going to be uncomfortable in the beginning until you start rising up, and just do it over and over again. But the people, man, being around the people, Drew, as you know, it's everything, man. It is everything. So.
I love that, brother. I think that's super helpful.
Yep.
This has been an awesome conversation. I'm
Yeah.
super thankful that you came in and we got to do this today, brother,
Yep.
and appreciate you.
Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it, bro.
Thanks so much, man.
All right. Have a good day, Drew.